With all the deconstruction work that I have been doing this year, especially as I have embarked on this research journey with the denominations and missions groups and everything, I am really getting a better idea of where I stand on a lot of these things as I'm reading through the various options in the various Protestant denominations. And I keep coming back to this verse. It's Philippians 2, verses 12 and 13. Wherefore, my beloved, as ye have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. For it is God which worketh in you to will and to do his good pleasure. This basically says that deconstruction is not only a good thing, it is a necessary thing. If we do not deconstruct what we have been told and determine our own faith on the convictions that the Holy Spirit gives us, we are not being authentic in our relationship with God. Now, there's going to be differences of interpretation. There's going to be differences of opinion on the practical application of certain doctrines. And we have to recognize that there's no way to authoritatively say this idea or that idea is more correct than another. I mean, there are going to be some that are just obviously not paying attention to the context or surrounding verses or something, and then they're just way out there. But amongst the kind of core group that mostly agree but have slight variations that they make, there's no real way to say, is it transubstantiation? Does the rapture actually occur? Is it a real thing? Will the rapture happen before the tribulation, after the tribulation? There's not enough explicit information in the scriptures that are recognized by Protestants to really definitively say on a lot of these issues, especially when it comes to eschatology. And yet they will make hard-line denominational differences based on eschatology and say, we're not even going to cooperate with that church over there on a soup kitchen because they're apostates, because they believe that the tribulation is going to happen before the rapture. The emphasis that is placed on the not just inerrancy of the scriptures, but inerrancy of that group's interpretation of the scriptures. And the people within these denominations, for the most part, are just going to take what they are told, and they will regurgitate it to others, and they will internalize it for their own lives. They don't necessarily do any of the working out your faith in fear and trembling. There should be a point where you are unsure of where you stand, and you should be able to confront that fear of the unknown and come to your own conclusions on doctrine and dogma. And it's really almost sad that they aren't able to engage that way. They put so much stock in making sure you're the right kind of Christian, but they don't actually do the work to even know if they necessarily agree with what they've been told. It is an anti-intellectual movement where it's better to be in the dark and just follow what you're told. I mean, that's the Dark Ages, literally. They were like, no, the common people are not allowed to have a copy of the Bible. We're not going to teach them to read, so they will never be able to read a copy of the Bible. And we had the Enlightenment when the Bible was finally mass-produced for common folk to read. And those common folk were actually getting education so they could read the book. And things changed intensely at that point. So, you give people the opportunity and the tools to work out their faith in fear and trembling, you're going to have a more authentic and more genuine connection to God with the people that are in your church. So this anti-intellectual, anti-scholarship, anti-questioning movement that we have seen in the last several decades, it is very frustrating for me as someone who has been deconstructing for some time to have these epiphanies and know that it's something that the people in my life who are Christians would say is heresy, apostasy, but in reality, it's just research and studying and working out my faith in fear and trembling.